So here are some frequently asked questions that we've been getting, around this very shifting market. And I wanted to make a little video explaining some of the biggest questions we're hearing from consumers out there and see if I could provide a little bit of insight to them. Now, one of the most popular one we're hearing is because we're heading into a recession, we think we're going to wait for prices to fall before purchasing. And while I totally understand that position, there are many variables, within this mindset that I wanted to address and get around some of the headlines and articles that are out there. So first, we've experienced many buyers hoping to quote unquote time the market in the last few years, and it's safe to say that they've missed out on some hefty returns. Headlines and the fear put into some of these articles can be very misleading, and in my experience, when you try to time the market, you typically miss it. For one, a recession does not equate to a housing crisis, especially like we saw in 2008. And if you look at all of the data over the last 5 recessions, excluding the 2008 financial crisis, which everyone would call just an institutional failure because they were giving anybody loans, bad credit, no income, this is essentially what was happening to a global scale. Typically, housing is what buoys the economy during a recession, not the other way around. And what I also know is that when you're looking at inventory levels right now, we're like a month and a half supply. And so that's not even close to being an even market for buyers and sellers, which would normally need to see like a 4, 5, 6 month supply for that to happen. So even if we're entering a recession, which that data is very clear, and I'm not making light of the fact that people's jobs, can be at stake, businesses are cutting back, it's all important, but I don't see anything that tells me there's a housing bubble or that there's these risky loan products, being given out like they were in 2008. In fact, we're kind of seeing the exact opposite. It's still really, really tough to get a loan. Now, and I mentioned in other videos, buyers are continuing to have the upper hand when it comes to offer. Competition has decreased, and there are definitely more options out there to choose from, which it makes it feel like a buyer's market. Another topic, we're kind of hearing to start to get rumbles of is, I want to wait until, the midterm elections. And this is a really important thing to consider because, elections create uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen, and we don't know if any of the new policies that might be in place. So I totally get where that objection comes into play. However, there's always a cost with waiting. If you're looking to buy or sell, we have seen rates dip and kind of dance around the 5.5% mark. And the Fed has already announced that they're probably going to be raising rates at their meeting next month in September. But there are options out there that, people can look into that would benefit them, for a rate reduction. For example, if you're getting a loan at, $500,000 today at 5.5%, your mortgage payment is going to be in the ballpark of $2,800. Now let's say that interest rate bumps up to 6.5% towards the end of the year. Which doesn't seem like a lot, but in order to keep that $2,800 a month payment, your new loan amount would go down to $450,000. So that's a $50,000 difference. And a jump like that can drastically change the kind of property, an asset you're going to purchase. And additionally, each administration, it takes a little while for policies to get put in place. And when uncertainty is what holds people back and they don't know what it's going to happen, in my experience, that creates some opportunity. To quote the great Warren Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Now, every situation is different, and there are certainly scenarios where it might be worth waiting on purchasing, say that you're worried about a job or you're in a transition of sorts, and that's okay. But if you're only waiting because you're unsure what's to come with the elections, I would love to hear your side and see what concerns you have if I could add any more insight. And lastly, if you have any questions and you are curious about what you could qualify or how much your home is worth, feel free to reach out and we would love to connect. Thank you for watching as always, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.